Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. It's gonna have a look here. Give it another minute for everyone to start joining our live session tonight, where we're gonna cover the foundations and we're gonna talk about modules 2, 3, and 4. Plus, we're gonna do a Q&A as well to answer any questions that you guys have. Please send me a comment on the chat here. To make sure that you guys can hear me well, that you can see me well. Let's see who is online already for the live. I see a few people joining. Oh, just lost a little bit of part of my mic here. Just gonna give it another minute for you guys to join the live tonight. So tonight, guys, we're gonna do a live session where we're gonna cover a lot of the basics, the foundations. Why I always want to do that at the start of a group's new journey is to make sure that we cover everything, that you guys understand that the base is very important. It's like when we're building a house, we want to make sure we have a very strong base. We know the basic, the cooking methods, all the hygiene, the safety, the skills that we need to get organized, to make adjustments to our menus, to our cooking, to our pantry as well. So we always prepared with the ingredients that fit our diet and the things that we like to eat all the time. Please send me a comment here on the comments, just so I hear you guys, want to see who is online. And also, if you guys are hearing me well and can see me properly, just send me anything on the comments here. I'll ask Camila as well to send a comment if she can hear and see the sound here in the video. Just gonna give another 30 seconds and then we're gonna get started on the presentation. You can't see the comments for some reason. There we go. Rosemary. Hello, Rosemary. I was watching the other day and checking everyone's progress on the course, and I was very happy to see that, Rosemary, you already completed a fair bit of the course. I was very proud to see that, and that a lot of the students are already moving with their videos. I can see with their watching of the course. I can see the progress of everyone. I know everyone has different timetables and do things on different times. Some people like to watch everything all at once. Some people break it down into weeks, into months, and that's totally fine. Regardless of the way you're doing, you have 12 months to watch everything, to learn, to look at the live sessions, the replays as well. So it's all good, but it really got my attention that Rosemary is really going through the course. Well done. Congratulations for taking this step to really focus on the course, to change a few things on your cooking. So like I said, tonight we're going to cover the foundations. There will be no cooking tonight. I really want to go through these modules here and make sure that I answer all the questions that you guys have. So in the next live session, we can start with the cooking. And I left a post on the Facebook group with all the dates for the live sessions. But I also wanted you guys to send a comment on that post there and let me know some of the things you guys would like to see me cooking, some of the things that you guys would like to learn about cooking, talk about cooking, planning the menus. Like we said, we're going to do some things based on the time of the year as well. So for example, I'm already writing down a few ideas for the next live cooking sessions. When we go for the December one, for example, I really would like to do something for the festive season and not just Christmas, but for cooking for groups. Because at the end of the year, yes, we cook for a bigger group at Christmas time, but a lot of people have guests throughout the holiday period. Usually bigger groups, families come to visit. So I would like to do that live session in December, for example, talking about how to cook for a big group more efficiently so that you're not spending all day cooking for the meal to be eaten in 10, 15 minutes, so that you get organized, that you have a variety in there, that you can cater for any requests from your guests as well. Some people might be vegetarian, vegan, some people might be gluten-free, dairy-free, don't want to eat meat, don't want to eat seafood. Lots of different requests usually happens when we have those gatherings with our families and families are never shy to say what they think about the food. So for the end of the year, let's make sure that you guys know how to cook a meal for a big group in a way that it's much easier as well. But let me know on the comment in that Facebook group any ideas of what you guys would like to see on the next live sessions, and then we're gonna make sure we cover some of those topics as well. Nicole from Melbourne, hello. All good here. All right, now I can see all the comments here. I'm waiting the school holidays to immerse myself into the course. Sounds great. All right, so again, I have my presentation here that I'm gonna be running for you guys. And also I have my computer here. Just made some notes to make sure that we cover everything. Have all of you guys on the live tonight watched modules 2, 3, and 4? How you guys going with that? Just send me in here a yes, watched most of it, or haven't watched the modules. I'm talking just the modules 2, 3, and 4, just so I know exactly where you guys are with what we're going to talk today. Now, let's move to the foundation so we are more confident in the kitchen. And let's start with the beginning, knowing where to start and having a positive cooking mindset, and also be more open-minded so we are not looking at cooking as a chore. The way I like to look at it is, for example, if we're going shopping for clothes, we always go and do that happily. We dress up for it, we go to the shops, usually we go with someone special, you get there, you try the different clothes, hardly gonna go buying clothes for yourself to when you are grumpy or when you are upset or when something has happened. And the same should be with cooking. We should prepare ourselves for that. So we go to the kitchen to do our cooking organized, happily, with someone that we like, and knowing that we're going to do something good. Cooking is an investment in our health. It's something that we should be doing with pleasure. So that will reflect also in the food. So always make sure you try to have a positive mindset towards cooking. Yes, some days are harder than others, but if you prepare yourself, if you organize yourself, then it's going to be a lot easier and won't feel like a chore. We're going to talk throughout these next 12 months a lot about planning, getting organized, the new ideas. But today, I really would like you guys to focus on having a positive cooking mindset, thinking that, okay, this I'm doing for my health, to save money, for whichever reasons you are doing, to eat better, to look good, to lose weight, to make sure the whole family is eating well. It doesn't matter your reason, but try to look at that not as a chore and as something positive that you are doing for your day, like exercising. A lot of times we don't want to exercise and we try to skip exercise, but it's something that it's going to help us on the long run. So we should have that positive mindset with cooking as well. Cooking may be hard sometimes, but not eating well, it's also hard. So you got to pick which is going to be the hard part of your life you're going to choose. Is it cooking that is going to make you feel better, or you're not going to cook and then you won't feel good also because you're not going to be eating healthy? Then focus on progression, not perfection. So you are evolving along the way. Everyone learn on different pace. Everyone is at a different level of cooking as well. Some people are just starting. Some people already know how to cook really well, just want to get some ideas in here. But focus on evolving, on learning a little bit more, and making that a priority. A lot of times we don't make cooking a priority. Everything else is a priority. Watching TV is a priority. Reading a book is a priority. Cleaning the house is also a priority. But cooking is so important. We should make sure that this is a priority because we're getting all our nutrients from there. We making sure we're hitting our health goals with the cooking, and we also making sure that this way when we go to the doctor, we're not going to have a surprise. We're going to be feeling well. Our results on the exams will also be going well because of our eating healthy at home, getting organized, having the meals ready in there, so we're not eating those things that are going against our health goals. So have the positive cooking mindset and eliminate any beliefs that you have around cooking. And some of the beliefs that you guys seen, I'm just going to cover this very quick, but you guys seen on the modules already, is that eating healthy is expensive. Eating healthy is not expensive at all. eating healthy, it's actually very reasonably priced if you know how to shop properly. Of course, a lot of times we have this misconception that for eating healthy, you need to buy everything on the health food that is expensive, all those superfoods, expensive protein powders, and all these things that, yes, they help if you have a deficiency of a nutrient, for example. But usually, if we get organized with our meals, if we make sure we're having a variety of different vegetables in there and the right foods, then we're going to get those nutrients for real foods and not superfoods. Superfoods are a great addition to all your meals, but we should not rely on them to eat better, because your diet's going to become more expensive. Some of the ingredients I see at the health food stores, like barley grass, wheatgrass, blue spirulina, chlorella, for example, there's so many ingredients that are good for our health, but they are so expensive. And you can find those nutrients on vegetables that cost a lot less. What happens is a lot of times we don't include those vegetables in our diets. We end up choosing things that are either processed or easier because of convenience, and then we are missing on those vegetables, on those nutrients, important nutrients, and we have to buy those superfoods, those vitamins, things to add into our smoothies, into our food, however it is, and then that's when it becomes very expensive. But if you're just eating vegetables, a few grains, and protein, the things that are usually available in every supermarket and grocery store, then you see that it's not that expensive as we think. It's just normal shopping and also cost of your life, because food has a cost. We have to eat, so we might as well make smart choices with our food, so we are eating healthy and we are not spending a lot of money breaking the bank. Send me any questions as well that you guys want to ask. You guys can ask here on the chat as well now. If there's a lot of questions, then I might leave some for the end, but if you have something related to what we're talking now, then let me know here and I'm going to cover those straight away. Hello, Mo. Welcome. No need to apologize. That's all good. The session is being recorded, so you guys are going to be able to watch that. I'm going to upload tomorrow. Now, cooking takes too long. Cooking takes too long. It's a big misconception, and I showed that to you guys on the masterclass that we did. The masterclass, we cooked meals for 3 days in about 46 minutes. That's nothing compared to what other things take off our time in the day. For example, the screen time on our phones. A lot of times, if you look the amount of screen time you had in the day on your phone, it's shocking. It's scary sometimes. Some people be there for 4, 5, 6, 8 hours, maybe more. If you're working with your mobile, yes, I totally understand. But if you're not working with your mobile and you're spending that much time in there, then should review your priorities, because you could be cooking, you could be exercising, you could be outdoors, could be doing something else that it's gonna help with your health goals. And cooking does not take long when we are planned, when we are prepared, and when we organize, when we set up ourselves on the right way to be more efficient. We're going to have a lesson just talking about that coming down the track for you guys in the modules there. So let's change that. Let's think that cooking doesn't take long. Cooking just takes long if we don't plan ahead. It's just a matter of planning ahead. And another very common belief that I've seen some of my students say that is it's not worth sometimes to cook for one or two person when you live alone or when you live just with your partner. Sometimes you work different shifts and then it becomes a bit of a hassle to get organized, but that's not true, because you can big batch. You batch cook. You can batch cook. You can have your meals ready in the fridge, in the freezer, and have everything prepared already. So it's worth for you guys. If you live on your own or with just one more person, it's even easier to cook and get organized, because you prepared like the meals we prepared the other day, 3 days in 45 minutes to 1 hour. If you do that twice a week, that's 2 hours. It's super worth, because you're going to be saving a lot of money as well, a lot cheaper than buying Uber Eats, grabbing a takeaway down the road and going to a nice restaurant. Leave those things for special occasions. If you want to be serious about your health, if you want to start to save money and also eat more consciously, then you need to prepare in advance. Look for simple meals. You're going to have a lot of those meals inside the resources in there, a lot of different menus in there that you can cook that are quick, that are easy, and they're totally worth for 1, 2, 3 people. Doesn't matter how many people live in your household. And that leads us to being more intuitive with your cooking. We briefly spoke about that in the masterclass. But I wanted to talk a bit more about that, because a lot of times people don't try to become more intuitive. Just 1 second. I'm actually just gonna remove my jumper here. It's a little bit colder. I thought it was gonna be colder, but as I start to talk, then starts to warm up. Just don't want to be sweating here. I closed the door because there was a little bit of wind. So let's get back into it. Mo is saying here, I always like to cook for myself. Awesome. I when I used to live by myself, I used to enjoy as well. At the start, I did not enjoy as much, and I would go out a lot. And that's when I realized I was spending a lot of money going out. I was spending $15, $20 on each meal going out. And then there was breakfast, lunch, and dinner, about $45, $60 a day, eating out all the time, times 5 in the week. That's, when you look at it, it's a lot of money that adds on. And even if I was working on restaurants, a lot of times I was getting sick of the food in restaurants, and I would go and eat something out. I would go and eat in another restaurant where I wouldn't even get a discount for the meals. And then I realized that I was spending $300, $400 just for myself a week. And then you go out, maybe you eat something at the pub as well. You have a little drink, a beer or a wine. And then when you see you spending a lot of money. So going back into it, how to become more intuitive. It's very important. I see a lot of people let recipes rule their lives. It's all about recipes. Always people ask me on Instagram or my social media, I want recipes. I want this recipe. I want that recipe. And then they just think of the recipe, but they forget to become more intuitive in how to adjust this recipe, how to cook that meal without even needing the recipe, how to think of a meal that you see on a recipe book and open your fridge and then just look at that. Okay, someone asked me today on Instagram how I would do a pad thai. So the way I would like to do the pad thai is, okay, I'm going to do a pad thai tonight. It's a noodle dish. I don't have to do it exactly like the recipe tells me to do. I can open my fridge, see what's in there. I got carrots, I got zucchini, I got broccoli. I have a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic. What protein do I have? Oh, there's a bit of chicken. Let's do the pad thai with that. I got a noodle here that is not the traditional pad thai noodle. It's a soba noodle, but it's also gonna work. So I just adjust a little bit. It's gonna be a noodle dish. It might not be the traditional one. I might not have tamarind, for example, on my pantry all the time, but I can use other things. I can adjust the flavors, and if it doesn't taste exactly like the one on the recipe, like the one in Thailand, for example, then that's fine. I'm not trying to win an award at home. Of course, if you have guests, people visiting you, then yes, you want to cook that meal, make it a bit more elaborated. But if you are just cooking for your daily meals, then don't worry so much about having the recipe book there in front of you and trying to focus on only that recipe. Use that as a guide, but try to be more intuitive. Try to first learn the basics. You guys will see here on the foundations, the basic cooking methods, how to chop your knife, how to cook properly. Okay, I'm going to put the oil on the pan. I wait until the pan is hot before I add my food in there. Look at what's happening to the food. Look at the ingredients transforming itself. Learn that you have the right order to cook. You're going to cook first things that need to be cooked for longer, and then things that are quicker at the end. Also, other things, for example, you have protein. If you're doing a pad thai, cook your chicken first, set aside, and then cook your veggies, add your sauce, put your noodles in there, then put your chicken back in there. Just apply the right order so you are cooking more intuitively. You learning how to be more intuitive with the cooking because you know the right order. You know what works. You know that if you cook the carrots for too long, it's gonna get too soft and break. You know that if you don't have onion, you can use spring onion. You can use shallots. You can just use garlic and not even use onion. So you know the basics, how to adjust your meals, and then to do that, you also have to use your sense, feel the smell, feel the aroma of the ingredients, and taste the food as well. Taste the food, see what it's tasting like. If you add something there, a spice, chili, soy, something citrus, try it. If you see something on the recipe that you don't like, maybe try to use an ingredient that you like instead. A classic one is coriander. A lot of people don't like coriander. Use another herb. Use parsley, dill, chives, something else in there. Leave the herbs out if you don't like. That's totally fine. So learn to not let the recipes rule your life. That's very important. If you guys start to practice more your intuitive cooking, you definitely learn how to open your fridge and cook with exactly what's there. Experiment different things. Try a different flavor. If you never tried before, you think may sound weird, do it. A lot of times things happen that way. There's a very interesting story. I can't remember the name of the company and the lady, but that's the story of how a very popular treat was created. This was back a few years. And there was a lady baking some cookies, and she went to bake a batch of cookie in a very famous bakery. I cannot remember exactly if it was in America or England or maybe Canada, one of those places. And she was very popular, known for this particular treat that she used to make. And then one day she did not have the right chocolate to put through the dough and bake this treat. It was a biscuit. So this biscuit, she put the chocolate in there and the chocolate didn't melt well. She ended up with lots of bits of chocolate in there. She experimented something different. She used an ingredient that was not on her recipe and did not come out as she wanted. But everyone really liked it. She ended up with a biscuit full of bits of chocolate in there. And that's when the choc chip cookie was born, out of a mistake. Not out of a mistake, out of an experiment where she used a different chocolate that didn't melt the way she wanted. She ended up with some chocolate bits in there. And what happened? Choc chip cookie became one of the most popular biscuits or cookies in the planet. And a few years later, this lady got contacted a year later or 2 years later by Nestle. Not saying that it's because I like Nestle, but a big company reached out to her and said they wanted to buy her recipe because everyone was talking about her cookies in town. And then she made a huge deal with Nestle. She made a lot of money out of that. But the point is, experiment different things. Something good may come up out of it. Have fun and play. So you are enjoying. If something doesn't work out well, that's okay. You can always start again. Just going to have a quick look on the comments here. Nicole, the preparing vegetables for 3 meals has been a game changer for me. This makes me so happy, Nicole. I like the idea of being able to see a recipe and change it to what's in my fridge. That's the way to go. That's how our grandparents used to do, some of our parents as well. People would not go out last minute back in the day to get an ingredient that they need. They would cook with what they had at home. Used to be a lot harder to get to ingredients. Some people are on rural areas, in farms, places that you don't have the shops down the road. So you're not going to leave your home and then go and get one ingredient, spend 20, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is. Your time is precious. You could be using to do something else. So being able to look at what's in the fridge, adjust to your recipes, or create a menu based on a veggie box that gets to your door every week like we usually do, that's the way to go. So you are not ruled by recipes. And don't get me wrong, recipe books are great. There's lots of good ideas in there. There's some fantastic chefs out there creating some really nice things. But it's also nice to understand how a recipe works and then cook. I see a lot of people learn how to read recipes, but not always how to actually cook the recipes, how to create the recipes as well, and how to adjust things, which is very, very important, especially when you have different dietary requirements. Like I was looking at a recipe today for a gnocchi that I had, and then I was comparing to some other recipes for a pumpkin gnocchi. I shared on my stories on Instagram today, just before the live. And then I was looking like how a lot of people say, oh, the gnocchi, pumpkin gnocchi, for example, is with all-purpose flour. And then I look at it and it's like, okay, yes, the all-purpose flour works, but any flour will work. You might add a flour in there that might need a bit more oil, might need a bit more liquid, or you need to adjust a little bit, but any flour will work. You can use a gluten-free flour made out of brown rice, tapioca, buckwheat, a mix of all of them. You can use spelt flour, you can use wholemeal flour, plain flour, self-raising flour. So we need to learn that we should not stick to the ingredients that are always in there. Of course, if we're baking a croissant or a cake or something that it's a baking for a patisserie, things like that, then yes, follow the recipe to the dot, because you don't want to waste 1 hour baking and then it doesn't work. But for cooking your daily meals, don't worry about that. Try to adjust and use your intuition a bit more. Now, shopping three-way, super basic. We spoke about the masterclass, but plan and make a list. Make the list already on the right order by sections of the supermarket. So when you get there, you know, okay, now I'm going to first get my veggies. Second, I'm going to run into the dry goods, maybe get the cheeses and things like that. I'll leave the frozen for last. If you have a sweet tooth like me, you want to get a bit of ice cream, leave it for last. The other day, I actually went there and I had to get something at the back of the supermarket, and I said, oh, my favorite ice cream is on special. And then I grabbed it. And then I remembered I need to get a few more things, and I started to walk around the supermarket. It was a hot day and I had that ice cream. I was like, Jesus, I should got this last, but I got so excited when I saw the special for my favorite ice cream, one of the chocolate Häagen-Dazs, one of the ones that I really like. And I grabbed it. And then after 15 minutes, I thought, oh no, my ice cream is starting to melt. I had to go back to the fridge and I swapped my ice cream. I got a new one because I could feel it was starting to melt. I still had another 20-minute drive to get home. So I didn't want my ice cream to melt. So it's very important when you're shopping at the supermarket to buy on the right order, especially if you know it's going to take you another hour to get home, for example. You don't want your meat to be out of the fridge for more than 2 hours. You want your meat to go as soon as possible to the fridge. So make sure you have this list on the right order there. When you get to the supermarket, you go straight to the point. Just get shopping. Don't waste time walking around, looking at the specials, looking at the deals, looking at what's new. You don't have to do that at the supermarket. You can do that on your computer at home, online, when you're sitting in the couch. But if you do that at the supermarket, it ends up being a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour trip sometimes, door to door from home, get to the supermarket and back. And you want to save time in that as well. And when you get home, put everything away the right way. You guys seen this on the recorded sessions in there, but make sure you wash everything, dry really well, keep your vegetables on airtight containers, add a bit of paper underneath and on top. Avoid the moisture from going inside your food containers. This way they're going to last longer. The other day I had these herbs, these micro herbs that I got, and I cut them and I put it inside a jar with water, very well airtight, and they last for 12 days. Still got a little bit, it was a bit of lemon balm. So if you do it on the right way, your food will last longer. So make sure you do that. And of course, look after the fridge as well. Make sure your fridge is clean, that you're storing everything on the right place in the refrigerator as well. So for example, your cheeses, make sure they are on top. It's colder on top of your fridge. And then have your prepared meals under that. Your veggies can stay at the bottom drawer as well. I personally like to have my meats in the bottom shelf, not on the drawer, but on the bottom shelf in case something drips, especially with seafood as well. I like to have them at the bottom there. Ideally, they're not gonna drip, but sometimes it happens. So I like to order my fridge that way. Have the cheeses on top, prepared meals, and then my ingredients, veggies moving down as well, and my meats at the bottom left or right. Pick a corner so you know your meats are always in there, or in your spread fridge as well that you might have in your home. But make sure you put the food on the right way, and store the food properly as well after using part of it. So, for example, if you cut a lemon, an avocado, a tomato, put those things inside the container. It drives me crazy when I go into houses for meal prep, for events, and I get there and there's a half avocado that is already black and going off. It's been sitting there, forgotten behind something, or usually I see on top of the jars as well. You have a little jar in there and the lemon, it's sitting right on top, or the avocado. It's the same as putting on the shelf, so it doesn't help much if it's just sitting in a jar. It will really help if it's inside a jar, and it happens so often. It's okay for a little while, but try not to store your food like that. The lemons, they can get contaminated. It can be bad for you. You might get sick if something is contaminated, if touched a bit of chicken, a bit of seafood. So make sure that your fridge is always clean and organized. Let's have a quick look on the comments here. Mo, I also tried citrus with chicken, lemon, lime, grapefruit, just because I didn't have an orange. That's the perfect example. Exactly. And look, I must say, I had times before where I bought the fish and I forgot to buy lemon, for example. And I was not gonna go to the shops to just get one lemon. So I just used an orange instead. I add a bit of salt, a bit of orange, some of the zest in there, just to get that citrus flavor. Not ideal, but it worked great. Now I know that works as well. So if I wanna do an orange zested fish, I know that tastes nice. So experiment with different things. Okay, ingredients to always have at home. Now, this one here, guys, so super quickly, you have a list that I shared underneath this lesson here. I'm just going to check the number of the lesson. Lesson 7, if I'm not wrong, lesson 7 on module 2. In there, there's the ingredients list to always have at home. There's a PDF at the bottom as well, and it's also on the resource links. Tell me in the comments here if you guys all found the resource for the course. There's a link for that in the lessons where you can go into the resources page. But let me know in the comments here if you guys have found all this resource, like the ingredients list, also the essentials tool list. There's a few different resources in there. The shopping list sample to use on your phone, on your iPhone, on the notes there as well. Let me know if you guys found those resources in there, because if not, I'm going to share after the lesson here the link again on the Facebook group. Okay, Terry saying here, that's the list I couldn't find. Which one of them, Terry? The ingredients list or the equipment list? Let me know here on the comments. I'm going to make sure that I share this with you guys later. I'm just going to get a pen here very quickly. So I take a note. Let's see here. Ingredients list. Oh, okay. I haven't found the resource list. Nothing. Okay. Interesting. Terry, I'm going to look at that after the live session here and see why because it was all saved in there, the PDFs, but I'm going to double check as soon as we finish today, and I'll send you guys the link for all the resources, and also make sure that this is under there. No, don't worry, Terry. No lack of tech skills. We always struggle with tech these days. Everything is evolving so fast, And sometimes it can be hard to find on the first time, but once you see there, then it's going to be a lot easier. Don't worry. I'm going to make sure that you get this list so it's easier to access as well. All right. So this list here and a few things that I really like having on my pantry. I always like to have things in there that will speed up the process for me. Some key ingredients as well. For example, oats, all types of flours I like having there. A gluten-free flour is also always on my pantry in case someone comes to my house who cannot eat the gluten. We also, when I'm baking, I like using the gluten-free flour anyway. There's some good gluten-free flours out there. Canned vegetables like tomatoes, chickpeas, beans, all those things I really like having on my pantry. This way I can quickly whip a meal, put everything together, maybe make a tomato-based dish. Maybe I can make a salad using chickpeas, beans, a few fresh leaves, tomatoes, whatever else is in my pantry, maybe a bit of canned tuna, sardines, those things that you can use to do a meal. When you get home from work, you don't have any ideas, you know, okay, I have some tomato, I have some pasta in there. I'm just quickly going to cook a bit of mince in here, or a bit of fish, a bit of chicken, put together a really nice pasta, add a bit of cream, a few herbs from the garden. So the job of your pantry is to make your life easier, so things are there ready to go. So if you can't go to the shops, you have something as a backup, and also have something in the freezer as well. I always like, when I go shopping for fish, I buy a big piece, I cut it, I portion, I have some in the freezer. With my mince, same thing. I'll go there and get the mince in my freezer as well, organized for the week. So I always have a kilo or two in there. Maybe I'll have a bit of chicken as a backup. Lots of different things that you can freeze, have ready to go. And then this way you don't need to run to the shops last minute. So have this list organized. Of course, the list that I shared there, the ingredients that I shared in there are ingredients that I like. And it doesn't mean that because I like, you're going to like as well. But you can adjust your pantry to however you want to do. Maybe you have more kids at home. Maybe you don't have any kids at home. Maybe you eat different things from your partner, so you have to have different things in there. But organize in a way that works well for you, and make sure you keep an eye on your pantry as well. If you see something that you haven't used for 6 months, almost a year, don't buy it again, because it's just taking space in there. And the same with your freezer as well. If you see something in the freezer that has been there for more than a month, 2 months, then you should review. Do I really need to have this in here for 2 months, taking space on the freezer? Or can I be more organized with my freezer and have things in there that will rotate more often, and use the freezer as a tool for yourself? So you're always rotating things in there, meals that are ready to go, and not just to store things in there that are going to be there for the whole year. And any diet can taste delicious. So this is very important. A lot of times people think that vegetarian or vegan, or if I don't have a meat on my meal, it's not going to taste delicious. If I don't use gluten, the pasta won't be good. Or if I don't use dairy, my sauce won't be as nice. And that's a myth. Anything can taste delicious. Some of the best restaurants that I have been to were vegan restaurants, actually. Restaurants where they have very skilled chefs that are putting the extra effort to make those meals taste really nice. And I always like to try everything. If it's with meat, seafood, vegetarian, vegan, I really don't mind. I always like to try those things. Like this salad that I'm holding here, for example, it's actually one of the vegan salads that I make, and it's inside the Together course. I like offering this one here on my private events because I know that everyone can eat. It has a bit of cashews in there. And then if someone has a nut allergy, then yes, I'm not going to use that. But it's a great option that anyone can eat. And then you can have the protein on the side. You can make any meal taste delicious. And it's essential to understand that your own preference and dietary needs and how to adjust them. So you can adjust to yourself, for yourself. When you see the menus that we have inside the Kitchen Hero program, those menus, they are mostly gluten-free and dairy-free. But I know I had some students who were vegetarian, who were on a vegan diet, who didn't want to eat fish or seafood, or they don't want to eat meat at all, just chicken, no beef. Everyone's different. So you need to learn how to adjust that. And that I can help you with. If you see anything on the menus there and you tell me, Lucas, I don't like to eat coriander, or I don't want to have beef on my diet. What can I adjust with? Or maybe you look at something and you don't want to do cream, or you don't want to do coconut cream. There's always ways to work around that. So please feel free to ask. And if you can, ask on the Facebook group, because then this is going to answer someone else's questions as well. Other people will learn from that too. So it's always great to ask your questions in there. And these days, it's very good to adapt to any dietary requirements. If you go into the supermarkets, into the health food stores, there are hundreds of alternatives. I know that even for pastas, I know that my Italian friends wouldn't like to hear that, but there are some some pastas that are gluten-free, some breads that are nice now and gluten-free. It was always very hard to find a nice gluten-free bread, but there's more options coming to the market. So don't let a dietary requirement from a guest or your own needs or something that you need to adjust to eat healthier make you afraid of cooking. Just use that to learn to try different things, to use your intuition and learn how you can change those things and make the small adjustments so you can start to eat wholesome meals, to eat things that you really enjoy. Okay, let me just have a look in here. Yes, all right. Now, the essential tools and life-changing equipment. I made a list as well. And those are the essential tools that I like to have in my kitchen, like the spatulas, the nice baking trays, a very good peeler. Also, tongs that you can use on your pans without scratching with the rubber ends. Those are all very important and essential tools. Can you cook without them? Yes, you can. But they will make your life a lot easier. They will be the basic tools. They're not so expensive. You can buy them on Amazon. Lots of things are on Amazon, a lot cheaper in there. You don't need to get out of your house. You can buy them into the Kitchen Warehouse website. I don't know if you guys seen this website, but there's the Kitchen Warehouse. Victoria Basement is also another one that a lot of chefs go and shop things in there. And Amazon, like I said, those three places is the one where I always look for things for my catering business, for home, if I want to gift someone as well, because there's some very good equipments in there. So again, this list here, I'm going to send you guys the link for the resources after the live session tonight. And then you guys can have a look through this list. If you watch the live session, the recorded lesson, which is number 9, Essential Tools, lesson 9 on module 2, then you would see the list is at the bottom in there. But if you can find it, no problem. After the live session tonight, I'm going to share this list of ingredients with you guys in there. Not the list of ingredients, the link for the folder where all the lists, all the recipes, all the menus are in there. And if there's also things that you guys think that should be in there, a resource like this, the file that I have in there looks exactly like this one in here on the presentation. I have a lot of different materials like this in there, and if there's something that you guys think that should be in there, then let me know, because I can create those things pretty easily and add for you guys in there. Now, basic kitchen safety and hygiene, very important. I'm gonna go through this quick because it's common sense, but it's always good to remind. Child and pet safety. Make sure when you are cooking, you have kids running around. Prove your drawers. Make it child-proof. Make sure kids cannot open those drawers in there. Your knives, very, very important. Store them in a safe place, on a wooden block on a drawer or on a magnet on the wall. But do not, and I've seen these hundreds and hundreds of times, do not store your knives in a drawer without any protection, just all together in there. I see like knives like literally like this on top of each other inside a knife. Why is this not good? First of all, it's going to make your knife blunt much quicker. It will not last as long, the blade. You're always going to be making your knife not ready for work, because you're going to have to adjust, align the knife again, the edge of the knife, maybe take it to sharpen professionally. It's not going to last as long. And also, when you go to grab something in the drawer, you might cut yourself when the blades are in there. I had a chef who worked with me in a place I worked back in the day in Sydney, and there was a bucket full of tools, no knives, never in there, but full of tools, like the tools that we've seen on the listing here. It was a bucket exactly like this one in here, with the spatulas, the forks, the whisk, all different types of tools in there. And the knife was never inside. And one time, a kitchen hand placed a small paring knife inside this bucket, and a chef went to grab something in there. His hand went through the knife, he cut his tendon, and the exact same thing can happen in your home if you put the knives in the drawer with other tools. So make sure the knives are very well organized in your drawer to avoid accidents. When you're cooking, if you have kids and pets around, make sure you turn the pots and the handles of the pots inwards so they are not hanging out of the stove. If you're cooking a curry, a stock, something that is saucy and hot and heavy, cook that in the back of your stovetop. Make sure it's at the back so no one can reach for it, and you're not going to hit it and drop on the floor on your pets, on your foot, or on someone else's feet, or on your kids as well. So try to avoid that. Secure your chopping board like I showed you guys on the masterclass before. And we're going to be doing this at every session. Every live session when we are cooking in the kitchen, I'm going to show you guys always the same thing. Place your mats under the chopping board, secure everything, sharpen your knife, align the edges of your knife, how to be more efficient. I'm going to always repeat these little details so it's stuck into your guys' head. So you always go into the kitchen, you create the habit. You're never going to use a chopping board again without securing the chopping board. This way, you're going to save your fingers. You're going to save a lot of trouble. It might not happen all the time, but when it happens, it sucks. And no one wants that. Also, avoid cross-contamination. Like we said before, storing things in the fridge well, but also making sure you're not cutting things like chicken and broccoli on the same chopping board. You're having a specific chopping board just for raw meats, for example. And if you don't want to have more than one chopping board, make sure you wash really well. I see sometimes some very famous and professional chefs that will cut a chicken on a chopping board, and they just spray and wipe with a bit of paper the chopping board. I would not recommend doing that. I would never do that because it can be dangerous. You never know if that chicken was contaminated, if maybe you touch the chopping board by mistake with a bit of your hand, goes in the vegetable, goes into your storage container. So make sure you always clean your chopping board really well before changing ingredients like meat into a veggie, for example, or have different chopping boards. One for veggies, one for raw meats, one for cooked meats, one that you just cut your fruit, even for fruit bowls. I know that Camila hates when I chop garlic or onion in our fruit board because she can taste the garlic and onion on the fruit board, and it's a horrible taste. Sometimes I do it because I want to be quick, but vegetables is not bad if you're not going to get a cross-contamination there. It's more the flavor, and garlic and onion really sticks. The flavor sticks to the chopping board. So try to have one for your savory vegetables that you want to cook savory and have a little chopping board. There's a small one for your fruit, for example. And also have a first aid kit. First aid kit always ready so you can fix the problems if it happens. I know sometimes we don't have band-aids at home or don't have disinfectant, like things to clean your wound if you get hurt, but have a safety kit. It's never gonna hurt, especially if you have kids around. Now, other important points as well with your appliances, make sure they are always away from water, that you are never putting your fingers inside the blenders as well. And also when you're grabbing something out of the oven, make sure you use a dry cloth or oven mitts that are dry. Never ever use a wet towel. If you grab a towel and it's wet, don't use it to grab something out of the oven because you will hurt yourself. Now, with the food storage, again, we briefly spoke before on the shopping three-way, but here, very important steps. Wash and dry your fresh produce. Store everything airtight. Ha! Look at that. Got a thumbs up and did the emoji in there. Make sure your containers are dry before storing your ingredients in there. If there is moisture in there, they will get moldy and will not last as long. Make sure that you cool down your foods as well before storing in the container, before closing the container. You can place the food in the container if it's hot, but I like to do that on my glass containers. If it's ingredients that are going to be really hot, like a curry or a saucy meal, I'll put in my glass containers. And then I use my plastic containers. I obviously didn't throw my plastic containers away, but I'm going to use them until they break. And then I add my salads in there, my greens, my sauces that are cold, dressings, things like that. So make sure when you are closing the lid for the hot containers, make sure they are not hot anymore. They cool down, because this way you avoid that sweating. When it starts to sweat on your container, it's time to open up because it's not ready to store yet. Just wipe those bubbles of sweat in there, wait a little bit longer till cool down, and then you store in your fridge. When you store in your fridge, apply the first in, first out stock rotation system, which is very common in restaurants. We use in every kitchen. First in, first out, first cooked, first eaten. What goes in your fridge first gets out first. This way you're going to reduce your waste a lot. You're going to be able to organize your fridge with your new things in one shelf, maybe your older things underneath, but always in a way that you know exactly what's new, what's not, just to make sure you don't waste any of your ingredients. I'm just going to connect this cable here on this camera. Great. The battery is starting to go down, so I just lowered that a little bit. And clean your fridge regularly so you kill all the bacteria in there, and make sure your fridge is always at 0 to 5 degrees so you're not out of that safety zone. If it goes above 5 degrees, you're entering the danger zone and something might be wrong with your fridge. So you got to make sure, keep an eye on your fridge temperature. Now, efficiency around the kitchen. We're going to do a lot of this when we are doing the actual cooking in the kitchen, but very importantly, set up your workstation the right way. Have everything within an arm's reach. Your rubbish bin, secure your chopping board, all your tools you need for the day. Get your pans in the stove, your pots, everything that you're going to use out of the drawers, the ingredients ready to go as well, right next to you. Have a prep list or a step-by-step or both, prep list and a step-by-step on the right order as well. Make sure all the ingredients are there. If they're not, don't worry about, don't go and buy last minute. We already spoke about that. And try to use all your burners, because when you plan, you're going to have different meals planned in a way that you can be more efficient. So you are using all your burners that you have, all your oven as well. You can use your air fryer, your slow cooker, anything that you have that is going to help the process, maybe a Thermomix. Use all the appliances that you can to make your cooking quicker so you're not wasting hours in there. And very important, clean as you go. Cleaning as you go is one of the most important things in the kitchen, so you're not gonna have a big pile of dishes to clean up at the end. Wipe down your bench, you drop something, put in the bin. Make sure you are cleaning all the time. This way, at the end, you're not gonna have much to clean. Everyone that applies the clean as you go on their kitchen, all of my students that started to do that, they notice the difference. So create that habit. And when people see that you are cooking very clean, wiping your bench, not making a mess, I guarantee they will notice. And it's always good to get a compliment from someone for our food tasting good, but it's also very nice to have a compliment from someone because we are clean chefs, clean home cooks, we are organized, and things are looking tidy in the kitchen as well. Now, taste and flavor. Not sure if you guys got to this lesson yet, but taste and flavor, the secret to delicious meals, they are different things. A lot of times we think that taste and flavor is the same thing, but it's not. Taste only happens in your mouth, and flavor is the full sensory experience. You don't just taste the flavor, you feel the texture, you smell the aroma, you feel the temperature in there, and then that will make the flavor of your meals. The taste is just perceived in our tongue, in our taste buds. Now the flavor will be the whole thing, the whole package. You taste the food, you feel the texture, you smell the aroma, you feel the temperature, but not most importantly, but very importantly, and one of the things that I'm more passionate about, it's the visual appeal. Think of this. Every time you go into a restaurant, the first sensory experience that you have with the food, it's the visual. You see the plate coming from far away. If you know, you know, that's your food coming, that's your plate coming. You start to stare at it. Second thing that you feel, it's the aroma. You will smell before you feel the taste. So that's already 2 steps of your sensory experience that are already helping you to imagine the flavor of that food coming to you. You're looking at it, you can smell it. Once you grab it, you're gonna bite it. And first thing you feel, it's the temperature and the texture. Once you feel the temperature and the texture, you already had the aroma coming through your nose and you've seen the food. That's when you're gonna taste it. So taste is the last part of the sensory experience, if you think of it. The first is the visual appeal. So when you are cooking for your family, for your friends, for yourself, try to think of those things. Yes, I want my food to taste good, but you want also a nice texture in there. You want to experience with the smell as well. Nothing better than when you wake up in the morning, something is baking, or when you get to someone's house and they roasting something in the oven, you can smell that flavor. When there's a barbecue, you can smell the smokiness in the air as well from that barbecue. So the aroma is super important. Temperature, absolutely important. Some foods are made to eat at a certain temperature. You don't want to eat cold meats, for example. Yes, in some case you do a beef tartare, or for example a soup. You want to eat a cold soup. Yes, you can have the gazpacho, I think it is the name, a cold soup. But most soups are eaten hot. So you want to make sure it's on the right temperature. The flavor of a cold soup in a hot soup is different. So the flavor will be affected by all those steps of the sensory experiment: the taste, the texture, the aroma, the temperature. Salads, in the other hand, are usually mostly eaten cold, but there are some warm salads as well. There's always an exception for every rule, but try to apply those things. And importantly, focus on a visual appeal. Practice the visual appeal when you are serving your meals at home. And how do we make something look good in the plate? I have organized something for you guys here, but first let me just give you a few matching flavors that I really like to apply when I'm cooking. With chicken, lemon, garlic, rosemary, great combo. Thyme, honey, and mustard, chipotle, cumin, and lime to give it more of a Mexican flavor. And then if you want to go more of a Asian style, then sesame oil, soyangina. I always try to be very careful when I word this, because a lot of times when I post recipes on the internet and I say, oh, Mexican, I always write style, Mexican style seasoning, because some people will come and comment and say, this is not Mexican, blah, blah, blah. Some people get defensive on the internet for some reason. They want to criticize people. So I always try to say Mexican style or Mexican flavors. I try not to say that is authentic because people will attack. Now, matching flavors for beef. Garlic and rosemary is the most classic, but one that I really enjoy is cooking my beef, adding a bit of butter, mustard, and sea salt. I love adding smoked paprika to all my meats, and chimichurri, one of my favorite sauces to go in meats. It's super fresh, it's not heavy, it's light, goes well with fish, with chicken, with beef, with pork, with veggies as well, with anything really. Pork, great with orange, garlic, and maple. It's a classic orange and maple, especially for Christmas. You add a few cloves in there, maybe pineapple. Can't go wrong with that on pork. But you can also add other flavors that we spoke that go well with beef, like, for example, rosemary, garlic, pepper, or if you want to give it an Asian twist again, soy, sesame oil, and chili. Now, with fish, I personally like to keep it very minimum, the flavor that I add to the fish, so the fish can speak for itself. A lot of fishes go different with different things. If you have a light fish, you want to have a light flavor in there. There's no point of catching a really nice snapper and kingfish and add lots of sweet soy and soy sauce, things like that in there. But if you have a fish, for example, there is a salmon or a tuna or even the swordfish, those oily fishes, the oily fish you do want to try with heavier sauces as well, because it will taste nice. But there's no one size fits all. You just need to try different things. Something that I really like adding into my events, it's a fresh fruit salsa as well, like mango, pineapple, even cucumber. Add those things into your fish because they will go really nice, especially if you're doing tacos, if you're doing a baked fish as well. Those are some of the combos that I really, really enjoy. Now, how to make the dishes look delicious, how to plate it up well so they are looking nice in your plate. Thirsty today. It's cold outside, but now it's warm in here. Okay, now how to make these dishes look delicious. You guys don't have a lesson on that inside the recorded members area, the session there, but I have created this here to help you guys. It's a step-by-step on how to make the dish look good on the plate. So take notes if you like. If not, this will be recorded so you guys can watch it later. But start with a plate that matches the dish. Round plate, a square plate. We're gonna go through this on the Zoom session that we're gonna have, where we're gonna cook dinner for two together on Zoom. So you guys gonna be cooking at the same time as me. I'm gonna give you the list of ingredients, and I'm gonna share this week as well who will be joining. Pretty much all of you guys join the program, gonna be able to access that. So don't worry, we're gonna plate up the dish together, but this is the step-by-step here. Find a plate that matches your dish well. You can use a chopping board, a round plate, an oval plate, a square plate, triangle, whatever you think it's gonna look good. Consider the color contrast. You will be able to see this really well on the Zoom session because I'm gonna use the same dish. I'll plate for Camila and I on different plates. I'm gonna use a black plate and a white plate, for example, or a blue plate or a chopping board. And I do that in purpose so you guys can see the different shapes and color contrast in there. Arrange the components in a balanced way so you have things in harmony in the plate. It's not everything in one side or things throwing everywhere or falling off the border of the plate there if there's one. Organize in a nice way in the plate so it's not looking messy. Play with the textures as well. For example, in salads, you want to have creaminess, you want to have something crispy, something a bit more crunch, you want to have something light in there, but you also want to have something filling. So you want to play with the different textures in there. So for example, if you're doing a salad, you have a sweet potato that it's creamy, but it still have a bit of texture. You also have a creamy sauce. You have your leaves that will have some crispiness on the leaves, like lettuce, for example. But you also want that crunch when you bite from nuts, seeds, other things that you can add in there, like croutons, for example. And you want to make sure that those textures all combine together with the protein that you're doing and become a very enjoyable sensory experience. I keep doing the thumbs up here, and for some reason the YouTube has this feature now that keeps sending the emoji in there. Now, fifth, height and layering, especially for salads, is very important to keep the height so it looks good on the plate. I've seen in restaurants a lot of chefs spread out the dish all over the plate, and then it looks like a flat salad. If you bring it to the middle or one of the sides and make it taller, it will look nice on your plate. Pay attention at some of my dishes that I post on Instagram. I always try to apply that. Bring salads up and not flatten and down, so you have that height and you layer things on an order that is not squashing everything as well. You don't want everything, for example, if you have a bit of pumpkin, like a big chunk of a pumpkin wedge, you don't want that right on top of your greens, especially if it's hot, because it's going to make everything go soggy. You have it layered on the right order, something heavy at the bottom, something on top, so you can layer and have a really nice mix in there. I'm just going to go into the next one here. Just give me 1 second. For some reason, my slide didn't go in there, but I'm going to adjust right here. Number 6, sauces and drizzles. Have sauces in the bottom of your plate. Maybe you have it on a squeezy bottle so you can drizzle all over or do some sort of design on your plate as well. Garnishes. Use the garnishes to make your plate look good. Have some herbs on top. Some micro herbs are great for garnishing. Maybe you're making something crispy to use as a garnish, like for example some slices of radish, or you can use a lemon for a garnish. There's all different things that you can use to make it pretty, to make more special. Usually the garnish will go on top and will make your dish stand out. Now, attention to detail. So if you make your plate dirty, give it a wipe on the side. Chefs do that. Why not do it at home? If you spill a bit of your sauce when you are plating up on the plate there, then wipe it with a paper towel or with your cloth, so you don't have the sauce dripping on the side, so the plate looks clean on the edges and the food is standing out on the middle. You have a garnish on top. You drizzled on your plate a little bit. You'll see some examples of what I mean in a second here, but have that attention to detail. Use different shapes as well. Components that are square, round, circle, leaves, like we said. So you have different things in your plate, different items that you're going to use there, and always think presentation. Think of always taking a picture of your plate so you're proud of the food that you make. When you go into a restaurant, a lot of times you take pictures first. Why not take pictures of your food that you cook at home? And if you do that, please, I ask, post on Instagram, tag me in there. I'm going to share into my page as well. I love actually when you guys apply something that you learn on the course, you tag me on Instagram and I will share with other people. So other people on my audience can see that anyone can learn how to cook, anyone can learn how to batch cook a special meal, make it look delicious as well. In this way, we can motivate more people to join the program, to start with healthier, to look after their health as well, cook for the family more often, and applying those things that you guys learn in the course. Whenever you do that, please tag me along, because I'm going to share on my Instagram as well, so other people can get inspired with your cooking. Now here, just some examples here. Look at the salad on the top left here. That's what I mean, to stack it up in there, have a garnish like I did the cucumber ribbon. On the top there, there's a cucumber ribbon. I use some hemp seeds on top. This is the green salad that you guys will see on module 5. Actually, module 6 on the lesson number 1. It's the green bowl that we make in there. Now, in the bottom here, that's my charred pineapple with dulce de leche, cream, and cinnamon sugar. See how I did the spread of the dulce de leche on the plate in there? I sliced my pineapple in an angle and then spread over the plate on top of that sauce in there. Have a bit of cream on top. I also applied the chard. I burned a little bit in purpose on the barbecue there. I'm cooking on the open fire this. And I burn a little bit so I really have that charred color on the outside, the caramelized sugar, cinnamon, and pineapple in there. And then a bit of cinnamon, as you can see, just one side of the plate. I put a little bit of cinnamon sugar in there. I actually used a very fine sift to put the cinnamon in there. I just hit it on the side a little bit so the powder comes down in there and make my dish look good. Now here, the halloumi tacos. Look at all the textures that I have in there. I have the lettuce that it's crisp. I have the fried halloumi in there that it's super crispy and almost crunchy, because we like to make it extra crispy on that one. Then I have the cucumber salsa with the cucumber, the onions, giving a different texture, both of them. And then the mayo in there, I'm using a Japanese mayo for the creaminess, and I have the micro herbs right on top, stacking my taco up so it looks big, looks solid, the taco in there. And then here, it's a few other dishes that we apply different colors, different shapes, plate up for a retreat here of a salad bowl with the micro herbs on top. Also, the curry that you guys learn on, let me just double check the number of the session here. Session 5, the lesson number 5 on the module 6, the slow cooked beef brisket curry in there. So this is just a few examples. There are many other dishes that you guys will see on the resource in there. You can also get inspiration on my Instagram, but try to make your dishes look nicer, look beautiful, and take a picture, tag me in there on Instagram, because I want to share that with more people. Let me see if you guys still awake. Send me a comment here. The chat is very quiet. I'm hoping that you guys are paying attention to all of these plating up tips in here, but just send me a hands up in the comments here. Just want to see that you guys are still there with me on this live session. Any questions that you guys have as well, send me the question here. I'm happy to answer all of your questions. Now, here's a few more. There you go. Still here. All right, you guys still there. Just want to make sure everyone's still with me. And here is a few more dishes. Those dishes here are all in the Together course. There's a step-by-step, a shopping list in there, and I show you guys in there on the Together module. There's a module called Together. You learn how to cook all these dishes here. The scallops, the herb butter scallops, which I like to do with saltbush. the heirloom tomatoes. Look at the colors in there, the textures of the different size tomatoes, of the creaminess of the Bonconcini cheese in there, also the kale apple sweet potato salad, the vegan salad that I may make usually for my event, the ceviche in there, all different textures, all different concepts, all different steps of the concept of plating up that we mentioned before. They all get applied on those dishes here. Question here, Nicole. How do you stop your salad getting soggy on the plate? Look, I guess how to stop the salad getting soggy is, first thing, eat straight away. Make sure when you dress it, you don't overdress your salad. A lot of times I see people really covering salad, even on my events. What I like to do for my events, because what happens is sometimes we do wellness, I'll do the wellness retreats. I'll have 14, 20 people. I got one coming up in a couple of weeks. That's 18 people. And then if I plate up the salad with lots of dressing, put on the table, and I have to wait for everyone to sit down, it's a mission to get everyone to sit down, and the meal will start to get soggy in there. So make sure you plate up your salad straight right before serving. Don't add too many hot things in there on top. So for example, if you're adding sweet potato, let it cool down a little bit. If you're adding your chicken or your protein, don't put on top of the salad. Maybe have the protein on the side, or add it on top of a bit of the salad and top it up with a bit more. You really want that top of the salad not to be soggy, not to be squished down in there. So to answer your question, how to stop your salad from not getting soggy, serve when you're ready to serve, when everyone is ready to eat. Don't let it sit, especially if it's outside and if it's hot. Don't overdress the salad as well. Dress it a little bit, but leave the dressing on the table for people to add into that. And don't add too many hot things in there. If you're adding hot things in there, if it's more of a warm salad, serve it straight away so the leaves don't get soggy, because that's usually what gets what gets soggy in there. Let me have a look here. Terry said my video has stalled. Hopefully comes back for you there, Terry. Roma, my Insta page is full of plated dishes, most during COVID. Yes, it's so easy to, when you see inspiration there, save it, because then you can use that as an inspo to plate up. A lot of times I look for inspiration on how to plate up my meals right there on Instagram. So many options in there. You can find so many things in there. You guys found the Kitchen Hero program probably through Instagram, but there's lots of good inspiration in there. You are very welcome, Nicole. Very welcome. Terry's back. All right. Terry's back. Okay, let's keep going with the presentation here. Now, the cooking methods. There are a lot of different cooking methods that you guys probably heard of, that you've seen it. Some of them you probably haven't seen yet. You haven't learned how to do it. But I like to cover the 6 most basic cooking methods on this part of the course, because with just these 6 cooking methods, you can cook meals for the whole week. You can cook for entertaining. You can cook for the rest of your life. Yes, there are other ways of cooking. We're going to run through some of these cooking methods, but these are the 6 main cooking methods, the most common ones. It's roasting in an oven or open fire. Open fire, you're going to make your food crisp on the exterior. The idea is to be moist on the interior. Usually roasting starts at 175 degrees up to 230 degrees. You can steam as well. Gently, moist heat cooking, great to preserve the nutrients, usually at a temperature of 100 degrees. If you are steaming something and you want to stop it from cooking after that, I recommend that you apply some cold water on top of your veggies. Boiling. You submerge the food into that same liquid and will cook everything more evenly. So same result pretty much when steaming and when you're boiling, but steaming sometimes it will cook differently. Because, for example, if you have on your steamer a bit of broccoli or something in there, it might cook more on the bottom, especially if it's too packed. So when you are steaming, you don't want to add too many ingredients at once on your steaming pot. You want to make sure you do it in smaller batches so you don't have everything at the bottom soggy and what's on top not cooked yet. Boiling, it's submerging the food into the boiling liquid to cook more evenly. For example, when you're cooking eggs, you boil your eggs, you submerge the whole thing in there, so it's going to be cooked on the same way in every side of the egg. You can boil meats as well. You can steam some of your veggies in there, but if you want a very even cook, boiling will be the goal. Very similar, but it's light different in there. Sauteing is when you're applying a very quick and high heat to bring the flavors out of the things. Usually when you are kind of stir frying, you are sauteing in a way, but sauteing you do it a bit lower temperature as well. For example, when you saute your onions for a stroganoff, for a curry, for adding into slow cooking tray to slow cook your meats, you saute things a little bit, chuck it in there, and then you're good to go. Now, pan frying is when you want your veggies to be a bit crispier. You don't want them to break down. So you apply more heat in there. It's the one that we like using for one pan meals because it's the easiest cooking method to apply. You use a pan, make it hot, add the oil in there, or you add the oil, make the pan hot. The order in there won't affect much the final result, and then you pan fry things in there. You can pan fry veggies, you can pan fry steaks, you can pan fry your fish, your seafood, anything can be pan fried. You can use a wok, you can use a shallow pan, a deeper pan, however you want to do it. Simmering, which is a gentle technique, and you simmer your liquid on low heat. I use that a lot for things like curries, where I bring to boil, simmer for a bit, and turn it off. Stroganoff, lots of different things with stocks as well. For example, a veggie stock, you bring it to boil, you turn it into simmer for 15, 20, 30 minutes max, your veggie stock is ready. When you are doing a chicken stock, a beef stock, you simmer for much longer hours, but the simmering process, it's going to cook everything on this lower heat in there, usually 85 to 95, just under boiling. And then you see the water moving there and simmering. Just gonna look at the comments here. See an interesting comment here, Rylene. I'm really interested in learning to plate, present my food so it looks really attractive. All right, let's work more on that. That's a good reminder for me for when we do the live sessions where we are cooking, to focus more and always repeat that in a way on how to use those step-by-steps, layering things on the right order, having the different textures, bringing all to the middle, stacking up the height. So Rylene, let's work on that. Maybe we can do a live session just about plate up. Maybe we can do a live session where we're going to cook a couple of things, plate up nicely, have different garnish options in there. So you have some tricks up your sleeve, because it's really nice when you have someone coming to your house, visiting, and you plate up on a different way, on a more sophisticated way. You plate up your food. People look at that, they get excited, the taste. When the food looks good, it will taste better. A lot of times people say that we eat with our eyes, and that's so true, because when you see that the restaurant starts to come from far away, and then you start to enjoy your experience there. Roma, when would you blanch vegetables, broccoli for salad instead of steaming? So blanching, it's when you apply a heat in there for about 3 minutes max. So you want to cook things so they are almost cooked all the way, but not fully steamed and soft as well. when do I blanch? I blanch my veggies sometimes when I'm on doing meal prep. In, for example, oh my goodness, wow, I don't know what this one was here, but we had the fireworks happening in the live session here. Tech these days, it's very impressive. So when I was going back to the blanching, I like to blanch my veggies when I do some of my events and I just wanna make them cooked, but they still have them crunch. What I mean by that, for example, green beans, broccolini, asparagus, I like to cook them for about 3 minutes and then place on ice water. This is what the blanching is. When we cook them for a salad, but we still have the crunchiness in there. You still bite it and it's not super soft. A lot of times if we're steaming, we can go over the time that it should be steamed for, and then it's gonna get soggy or too soft. So blanching I like to apply when I want my veggies to stay crisp, and usually I submerge in water and I apply some cold water. I see the comments here, everyone is loving the fireworks, having a bit of a laugh. It's all about the entertainment and having fun as well on those lessons. I don't know how it does the fireworks. I think it's the moving of my hands, because if I do this one here, usually does the pop okay sign, but it's not always. I don't know how it works. I just give up. There was one time that I was doing a live session, it's on my Instagram actually, that I by mistake I clicked and this really weird filter went on and it keep like zooming in and out, but right on my face, and oh, it was a nightmare. I was embarrassed at the start, but then after a while you just don't care anymore and it becomes part of the fun. Now, we get here back into the presentation. Here are a few more cooking methods. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just so you guys know, because there are lots of them out there. There is grilling, deep frying, poaching, great for eggs, but you can also poach things like chicken or salmon. A lot of people, I see a lot of people, sometimes they want to cut all fats off their diet. I have a client I'm working with at the moment, and he's on a low-fat diet. So for him, I'm cooking for him 5 days this week. He's on a retreat on his own, and we're reducing the fat intake for his diet. So the cholesterol intake. So I'm going to be poaching things as well. Poach the chicken, poach the salmon. Yes, the flavor won't be as nice because you're not applying oil. You applying a cooking method that is a bit more bland in a way, but it's still super healthy, still cooks well. So you can poach things like, for example, salmon on apple juice, on pear juice. So you get a bit of that flavor in there. So poaching is not just for eggs, it's for other things too. You can broil it. So you get a nice crisp gratin kind of texture on top. Baking, smoking, which I love smoking meats on my Traeger grills, on the barbecue, on the open fire as well. Love smoking the meats. Curing, you can cure things like salmon with a bit of lemon zest on the outside, salt, bit of sugar, whatever you want to add in there to cure over a few days. So you almost allowing for the lemon zest, the sugar, the salt mix to cure your meat, which is really nice. Mo, broiling is one of the features of the oven, almost like grilling from the top, but you broiling, you are applying a very hot heat on top. So some countries will call it the same thing for grilling and boiling. Grilling from the top, when I say, some places will say that grilling is when you're using a flat grill, but the broiling here is when you're applying that high heat from the top, not from the bottom. So for example, when you go into a Mexican restaurant and you see the cheese melted on top of the nachos or on top of anything, they probably just place the plate with the cheese under the broiler for a bit, apply the heat on top, and then it melts whatever is on top. Broiling is when you apply the heat from the top. Blanching, pressure cooking, fermenting, braising, rotisserie, the sous vide. I think Terry mentioned the other day about the sous vide as well. I've been thinking actually about the sous vide. I have a big event coming up, and I've never been a big fan of cooking the steaks on the sous vide, but this one, they want Scotch fillets. Everyone wants the Scotch fillets, and the Scotch fillets for 25 people. And a lot of times they want on different temperature or different cooking on different cooking tenders. They want it like raw, rare, medium, well done, different doneness they want on their meat. So I've been thinking about the sous vide for that one, because with the steaks, if I'm busy in there, I have me and another chef, but we're cooking 25 steaks. I'm gonna plate up a few different things, gonna be looking at what the waitresses are requesting as well. So for this one, I've been thinking on the sous vide a bit. Let's see. I'm not a huge fan of cooking inside the plastic bags, but sometimes for a one-off, why not doing like that? It depends a lot on what is available for me to cook with at the venue where I'm going. Because if I get there, there's a very tiny barbecue and I have to cook 25 steaks, having a sous vide will be a great option. Then you can reduce sauces as well. These are the most popular cooking methods, but there's a few out there. Now, one pan meals. We already went for 1 hour and a half. We are going over a bit here with the time. I hope you guys don't mind, but there's all these things that I want to talk to you guys. And when I'm talking, I start to get other things in my head that I really like to share with you guys. And I want to make sure I don't miss anything here. But the one pan meals, in a nutshell, are meals that are cooked with one pan. And a lot of times when we're cooking those one pan meals, they don't work because we are not cooking the ingredients. We're not layering the ingredients on the pan on the right order. So that's very important in there, because the one pan meals are great for our meal prep, are great meals to cook when you are busy. When you get home from work and you don't know what to cook, just think that you gotta use one pan only. Don't use two pans, two pots. Try to focus on the meals, even if you have to use the same pan twice, but try not to use more than one pan. And of course, if you are cooking a curry and you want to do a side of rice, then use the extra pan, the extra pot for the rice, for example. But what I recommend, make extra rice, so you have extra in the fridge. You can even freeze your rice if you like. I personally don't like freezing the rice. I have a small fridge, a small freezer, so I don't like to take space of my freezer with rice, because it's easy to cook. But why not? If you're cooking a one pan meal and you want to cook a bit of rice on the side, make a bigger batch so you have for a stir fry. So you have to make a poke bowl, so you have it ready for the meal next day as well. So one pan meals, very important. Select the right pan, wide surface with high sides and easy to clean. Let me show you guys a couple of pans here. Bear with me. Just gonna go this side here. And I'll grab a couple of my favorite pans here. Oh, I just dropped my sitting on a pillow here. It's making me higher. Now, this is a couple of the pans that I really like to use. Cast iron, my favorite by far, holds a lot of heat. This is a super strong pan. It's a brand called Ironclad. I really like these guys here. Their pan is great. They are a bit more expensive, but they'll last forever. They actually have a policy that they will give a lifetime warranty. Of course, you have to look after those pans. If they wet, you got to put a bit of oil in there, make sure they dry so they don't get rusty, but they cook really well. Also on fire, you can have them in there. You can add them to the oven. I like that the handle, it's cast iron as well, so you can add in there. I actually have an affiliate link to those pans. If any of you guys would like to check them out, let me know. I'll send you the link, because I've been doing a bit of work with these guys. Also, another brand that I really like and another style of pen is these ones here from a brand called Crumble. It's a really nice pen, non-stick as well. I like it because it has a very high edge, so my things won't fall off the pen. I also have the shallow one where I like to cook my eggs, but I'm talking about full meals. Look at the size of this pen here. It's bigger than my hand. I think this one here is a 27 centimeters maybe, and they are great for cooking meals that are one pan, because in here in this pan I can cook a meal that will do 4 serves. In my cast iron pan, that one that I just showed you, I can cook 2 serves, 3 serves in there, and I have a bigger cast iron pan that I can cook 4, 5, 6 serves of food. So be mindful of that. Select the right pan as well, depending if you live by yourself, with someone else, with a whole family, with flatmates. It's always good to be mindful of that as well when you select the pen. So you have a wide surface, high sides if possible, that is easy to clean as well. The cast iron, a little bit harder to clean in the sense that it's pretty heavy. It's a heavy pen. So for example, when we cook, Camila and I always try to do myself the cast iron because it is a heavy pen. Now, when you are cooking your one pan meals, make sure you layer the ingredients properly. So the ingredients that take longer to cook, they will go in the pan first. For example, start with your meat. Don't put too much in there, because if you put too much meat, it's going to get cold your pan. You're going to start to release liquid. If you have a lot of meat, maybe cook it twice, a little bit of meat, set aside on a plate, cook a little bit more meat, set aside on the plate so your meat's cooked, and then you cook your veggies in there. If you want to do everything without moving the meat to the side first, you might have to do a little smaller batch, because if you put a lot of ingredients there at once, you're going to release a lot of liquid. Your meat's not going to get that nice crust, the caramelization around. So you want to be mindful that you are layering the ingredients in there on the right order, and not making your pan overcrowded. This way it's going to be a better result at the end. And balance the flavors like we spoke before. Consider the taste, the texture, the cooking times as well. So if you are adding into your pan there, for example, a bit of chicken, and you cut your chicken a bit thicker, put the chicken in there and make sure it's almost cooked. Don't just seal your chicken and then add carrots, onion, and zucchini, for example, because by the time that your chicken is already cooked, depending on how thick you cut, your zucchini might be gone by turning into mush. So make sure you watch those things. So you are, and how do you know the times for each of the ingredients? Practicing. Practice your intuition. Try to learn more from your mistakes as well. You learn with your mistakes. I learn with my mistakes. This way we can improve the way we cook, but also learn the right order for things, how long everything takes. And a lot of times, carrots, for example, they will take longer if you cut them thicker. They will be quicker if you cut them thinner. This applies for everything. So make sure you are paying attention to those cooking times, so you are cooking your pan meals in a way that they will be better at the end. Because if we are putting all your meat in there, releasing a lot of liquid, then you add your veggies, it almost becomes a soup. You're not going to get any caramelization. You're not going to have the crunch flavor on your veggies in there. And if you overcook your ingredients, then your meal not going to last as long. If you are cooking for your one pan meals for the day, cook the veggies all the way. If you are cooking for meal prep, undercook so you can eat later a little bit. So cooking for the day, cook all the way. If you are cooking the meals for another day, then you undercook your veggies a little bit, and make sure that you remove from the hot pan as well, or from your hot pot, especially cast iron. If you cook a curry, for example, on cast iron, and you leave on the pot, it's gonna keep on cooking because it's gonna hold a lot of heat in there. So as soon as you finish, place on your storage container, the glass container, preferably. If not, use the plastic container, and this way it's going to stop cooking quicker. And that was it. That's my last slide, the one pan meals. We got to the end of modules 2, 3, and 4. I think we covered a fair bit today. We went for an hour and 41 minutes. I try to cover these basics first, so you guys know the foundations that you need for now to us to cook more. The next live session will be cooking, will be hands-on. We're going to be doing this. Let me just check the date here just to remind you guys. But there's a post that I pinned this post into the Facebook group right at the top. And the next live session will be on October 30th, on the Wednesday. I'm going to send you guys plenty of reminders. I really would like for us to stay connected through this period, through the whole year on Facebook group. Send me your messages in there. Your questions on the Facebook group. Interact with your Kitchen Hero colleagues in there. This way we can stay in touch. We can motivate each other. Usually I'll take up to 24 hours to answer your questions in there. Maybe if I'm on an event over the weekend, then I might take a little bit longer. But as soon as I get to the computer, I always refresh my Facebook group window here. It's always on my computer open. I don't have Facebook on the phone. I try to stick with only my Instagram in the phone. Otherwise, spend too much time in the phone. I have to rule myself not to be too long in the phone. But I always look at it in my computer at nighttime or in the morning, trying to look at that daily. And the next live session will be the 30th of October. Let's decide together. Oh, sorry. Nicole, yes. Sorry about that. I just read wrong here. I didn't open the whole image. 25th of September, it's the next live session. Thank you, Nicole, for pointing it out. I just looked over the top. I didn't click. And when I expand the image, it showed me here, 25th September. It's the next live session. It's a Wednesday. And then after that is the 30th of October. I'm glad you mentioned that. But it's all in there. I pinned this post into the top of the Facebook group in there. Now, guys, send me your comments in there on that post of ideas of things you want to learn as well, so I can plan based on what you guys are wanting to learn as well. Like, for example, when Raylene mentioned here about being interested in learning about the Plate Up, so I can add that into a lot of the live sessions. Plate Up, anything that we cook, we can plate up better. So let's start to add those things in there, making sure that all of you guys can plate up your dishes nicely. I'm going to be even happier when you learn to plate up your dishes and you share with me your dish on your stories on Instagram or on a post, however you want to do it. Now, guys, do you have any more questions about what we did today here, about modules 2, module 3, module 4, anything that I have not covered that you guys want to ask, that you want to talk about? Let me know in the comments here if there's any questions, any other questions you guys would like me to answer. My talk for an hour and 45. Raylene, do we cover baking at all? Okay, so in the recorded sessions, we don't have baking in there. But on the Zoom session, Dinner for Two, last time we baked a cheesecake. We can bake something else. We can bake that again. And we can include baking in one of the sessions that we do as well. We can do a live session that is just baking. We can bake a couple of different things in there while we prepare something else. We can focus on, I don't know, cookies, banana breads, a nice dessert, a healthy dessert, a naughty dessert, anything really we can do. So let me add this in here. Baking. And we're gonna cover that as well. Those ideas help me a lot as well to make the course better for you guys. No one ever asked about baking before, but of course we can do some baking. We can add this in there, and it's good for me as well because I always try to avoid baking things at home because sometimes it takes too long. Baking is not my main strength. My strength is getting organized, planning ahead, cooking fresh, healthy meals, any type of proteins. I have no problems. Slow cooking, over fire, pan frying, busy service. But baking has never been a massive part of my cooking career, even though I worked 6 to 8 months for a patisserie back in Sydney. It was my second job. When I was living in Sydney, I had to pay for my TAFE and I had to get a second job. So I was working breakfast and lunch 6 days of the week, and I was working on a patisserie 5 days of the week. So I could get a full day off plus a half day off, but I had to do that for 8 months to pay for my course, my TAFE fees when I moved to Australia, and it was so tiring. Baking was a mission because I was already tired from work. I would finish at 3, start at the bakery at 6, finish at 1, maybe 1:30, get home at 2, and then I had to be back in the cafe at 7 again. It was a very sleepless time of my life, but I was young. I was only 21, 22, so I was happy to do that. It was for a bigger cause to remain in Australia. Creme brulee, okay, it's been a while. Let's talk about that. I haven't done one in a long time. I have to practice one for Camila. I'm sure she'll love me practicing the creme brulee. I love it, by the way. I'm frightened of baking. Look, it can be a bit frightening, but if you do and this is the case where you need to follow a recipe, not for everything. Like I usually bake brownies without a recipe. Some of the recipes are in my head. Muffins, pancakes can do without a recipe. But for some things like the creme brulee, cheesecakes, stick date puddings, like some of the things that are, you want to get a specific texture in there, then it can be frightening. But if you apply the recipe on the baking specifically, then there will be no mistakes. There's nothing to be frightened of. And again, if we do a mistake, it doesn't work, we can always do it again. Very welcome, Mo. Cooking a whole fish and knowing how to take it off the bone to serve. Absolutely, we can definitely do that as well. Probably, guys, remind me, send me those comments that you are making here in the Facebook group as well, just so we have all the ideas in there. I'm happy to take notes and watch these comments here later. But if you guys please could add these comments of your ideas on the Facebook group, then we have it all in one place there. And then we know not repeating everything will be a lot easier. Maybe for the whole fish, maybe one day I can cook that on the outside as well. Maybe do a slightly different live session for that time. Maybe we can do it earlier as well, so it's still light, so you guys can see me cooking outdoors too. We can do anything really for those live sessions, and I love the whole fish. Interesting recipes for healthy one-pan meals from someone that I trust. Plenty of recipes and videos online for the other less healthy meals. Yes, that's a great idea. And one-pan healthy meals are the easiest things to do, Roma. So that's not a problem. I have a coral trout in the freezer. I love coral trout. One of my favorites. We'll do that. Awesome. Thank you. How to fillet a fish and cut up a whole chicken. Okay, we're getting a bit more sophisticated here. Those things we're probably going to leave for the last live sessions, because I really, before we start filleting fish, cutting up whole chickens, we really would like to learn the basics, like get you guys to cook more so you are very confident with the one pan meals. But yes, we can get to those things more towards the end of the 12 months, because filleting a fish, it can be very tricky for a lot of people. You have to have a very sharp knife, you have to have a big chopping board, you have to do it on the right way so you don't destroy the fish as well. We can definitely do that, but let's maybe think of those things a bit more towards the end. Good idea, Domo. Very good idea to cut up a whole chicken. Now I see your comment here thinking about Christmas. I actually should do a video about how to cut up a turkey. I like that idea. Cooking outdoors would be great. Awesome. Guys, these are all great ideas, all very valid, but please add those ideas into the Facebook comments. All right. Is there any other questions you guys have? Please let me know in the comments here if you have any other questions. We're about to reach 2 hours here. Great session tonight. Module 2, 3, and 4. No cooking tonight, but we talked about a lot of important things in the next live session, 25th September. Thanks for pointing it out, Nicole. That's going to be full-on cooking. We're going to be cooking a lot of different things in there. I'm going to show you guys in all those live sessions the setup in the kitchen, how to be more efficient. We're going to focus on the knife skills as well. That's why I did nothing with knife skills tonight, because we're going to be focused on that on every session. And also we're going to do the plate up in all the sessions that we do. Knife skills, efficiency, being organized, and plate up. Those things are big core to all the sessions that we do. Look, Roma, you can watch as many live sessions that you like until the next session, but I would recommend to watch 5 and 6, because 5 and 6 we're gonna be cooking meals, complete meals, and once you look at those modules in there, you have a better idea of how to cook those meals from scratch. But if you don't watch it until then, that's not a problem. We're gonna be cooking some meals in there, maybe 2-3 different meals that will be different from what you guys did in the course, but doesn't matter if you have watched those lessons as much. It was more the basics that is very important, because there's a lot of theory in that, a lot of written content in there. Sushi Mo, the next session will be on YouTube. The one on Zoom will be the cooking dinner for 2. That will be on the Zoom. But the live sessions, the monthly live sessions, we'll be doing here on YouTube. Thank you, Roma. Okay, guys, so if there's no more questions for tonight, we're going to finish it off for this live session. Thank you for joining tonight. It's always good to see you guys live. I know some people, they said already they wouldn't be able to join us live tonight, but that's okay. Everything will be recorded. I'll aim to always upload those live sessions again within 24 hours. So you guys have that ready in there. Just question here from Nicole. Are the Zoom ones listed somewhere? No, the Zoom session will be the bonus session that I'm pretty sure that you are part of. That session was for the first 15 to join the Kitchen Hero program. Though that will work out the day together. It will be on a Wednesday as well, but we haven't set the date yet for the Zoom session. All the YouTube sessions are already there on that post in the Facebook group. All right. Thank you, Rosemary, Terry. Thank you for joining. Awesome. Okay, guys, thanks again for joining tonight, our first live session with this group. And I'll see you guys on the next session. I look forward to seeing all your comments on the Facebook group with the ideas that you just mentioned in here. All right. I'll see you guys on the 25th of September. Here's the fireworks again for you guys to finish it off. And I'll see you guys very soon. Stay in touch. Reach out on the Facebook group. Send your questions. Don't wait to ask your questions. Send them and let's get them answered. See you on the next lesson.